Speaking English daily builds real fluency faster than studying alone because fluency isn't a product of memorization. It's the result of repetition, rhythm, and real use. When you speak every day, you train your mouth, your mind, and your memory to work together. You begin to think in English, not just translate. The grammar you once struggled with starts to flow naturally, and words that once felt foreign begin to feel familiar. Just like a musician who practices scales daily until they become effortless, your daily speaking creates muscle memory for your voice and confidence for your mind. Reading teaches you rules, but speaking teaches you instinct. Each conversation, no matter how short, is a small rehearsal for fluency. Even talking to yourself in English counts. It's practice that builds pathways in your brain. Over time, those small daily moments of speaking form an unshakable foundation. You stop worrying about correct and start focusing on clear. That shift from study to speech is what separates those who only know English from those who can truly live it. Confidence grows through consistent practice, not perfection. Many learners wait for the day they'll feel ready to speak perfectly, but that day never comes. Confidence isn't something you find. It's something you build piece by piece through repeated effort. Every time you open your mouth to speak English, even if you make mistakes, you strengthen your courage. The fear begins to fade, replaced by familiarity. Think of it like walking into a dark room. At first, it's uncomfortable. But the more time you spend there, the more your eyes adjust. In the same way, each conversation, each attempt, each word spoken aloud adds a little more light. Confidence doesn't come from flawless grammar or a perfect accent. It comes from showing up daily, trying again, and realizing that mistakes don't define you, they train you. Over time, what once felt terrifying becomes natural. That's how practice transforms into confidence, through persistence, not perfection. Fear of mistakes fades when communication becomes the goal. Most people hesitate to speak English because they're afraid of saying something wrong, of being judged, or of sounding foolish. But the moment you shift your focus from speaking perfectly to being understood, everything changes. The pressure disappears, and expression takes its place. You begin to realize that language exists to connect hearts, not to impress minds. When a child learns to speak, they make countless mistakes, but they keep talking because their goal is to be heard, not to be flawless. The same rule applies to learning English. Every small error you make is actually a sign of progress. It means you're using the language instead of hiding behind fear. Fluency isn't born from silence. It's born from bold attempts, from words spoken imperfectly but with meaning. Once you care more about sharing your thoughts than avoiding mistakes, your fear loses its power. You start to speak freely, naturally, and with real confidence, because now your purpose is communication, not perfection. Environment and mindset shape language success more than any textbook ever can. You can have the best materials, the best teacher, and even the best intentions. But if your environment doesn't support your growth, progress slows. Surrounding yourself with English, even in small ways, begins to rewire how you think and respond. When you listen to English songs, watch English videos, or set your phone's language to English, you create an atmosphere where the language becomes part of your daily life rather than something you study. But just as important as the environment is your mindset. If you see English as a challenge, it will feel heavy. If you see it as an opportunity, it becomes exciting. Mindset turns effort into enjoyment. The people who grow fastest are not always the most talented. They are the ones who believe they can improve. A positive environment feeds that belief, and a strong mindset sustains it. Together, they form a space where learning feels natural, not forced, where every word you hear or speak moves you one step closer to fluency. Small daily habits lead to extraordinary results over time. It's easy to dream big and plan huge goals, but true progress often begins with tiny, consistent actions. Speaking just 5 minutes of English a day may seem insignificant, but those minutes compound, quietly transforming your ability to express yourself. Fluency isn't a sudden achievement. It's the outcome of countless small moments of effort that build upon each other. Like drops of water filling a jar, every short conversation, every new word, and every corrected mistake adds up. The beauty of small habits is that they are manageable. They don't demand perfection, only persistence. Over weeks and months, they become automatic, a natural part of who you are. You may not notice the change each day, but one morning you'll realize you no longer need to translate before you speak. That's the power of small steps. They create big change so gradually that it feels effortless. The secret is consistency, not intensity. What you do daily matters far more than what you do occasionally. Motivation must be renewed, not just felt once. It's easy to feel excited at the beginning of a journey, to watch an inspiring video, read a success story and say, I'll do it too. But that first burst of motivation fades quickly if it's not renewed with action and purpose. Real motivation isn't a single spark. It's a fire that must be fed daily. Some days you'll feel inspired, other days you won't, and that's natural. What matters is finding ways to keep your inner drive alive. You can remind yourself why you started, visualize the person you want to become, or celebrate the progress you've already made, no matter how small. Reading motivational books, listening to stories of learners who never gave up, or even tracking your daily practice can reignite that energy. The truth is, motivation doesn't magically appear. It grows when you keep moving forward, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline keeps you going when passion flickers, and each time you push through, you strengthen your commitment. Fluency isn't built on one moment of excitement, it's built on many moments of renewal. Progress often appears invisible until one day it's undeniable. When you practice English daily, it can sometimes feel like nothing is changing. You still pause to find the right word, still forget grammar rules, still stumble during conversations. But what you can't see is the silent growth happening beneath the surface. Every word you speak, every sentence you form, strengthens unseen connections in your brain. It's like watching a seed after it's planted. Days may pass without a single sprout, yet growth is happening deep inside the soil. Then suddenly one day, you find yourself speaking with ease, understanding without translating, and expressing ideas you once couldn't. That's when you realize all those invisible days mattered. Progress in language learning is rarely dramatic. It's gradual, quiet, and patient. But when it shows, it changes everything. So never mistake slow progress for no progress. The effort you make today may not show tomorrow, but it's building the fluency you'll proudly display in the future. Discipline turns effort into excellence. While motivation gives you a push to start, discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation disappears. It's the quiet force that makes you sit down to practice even when you're tired, busy, or uninspired. Discipline doesn't depend on feelings, it depends on commitment. When you decide to practice English daily, not because you feel like it, but because you've promised yourself to, that's when real transformation begins. Every disciplined act, watching an English video instead of scrolling aimlessly, reading a short article instead of skipping practice, strengthens your focus and builds momentum. Over time, discipline becomes your habit, and habit becomes your power. The learners who achieve fluency aren't always the smartest, they're the most consistent. They understand that discipline doesn't make life harder, it makes success easier. It turns learning from something you try to do into something you naturally do. And when effort becomes a routine, excellence follows effortlessly. Anyone from any background can become fluent with persistence and purpose. Fluency isn't reserved for the privileged, the young, or the naturally talented. It's available to every person who refuses to give up. Your background, accent, or starting point doesn't define your potential. Your consistency does. Many people believe they can't speak English because they weren't born in an English-speaking country or didn't attend elite schools. But the truth is, fluency grows in those who persist, not in those who have perfect conditions. Every learner's path is unique, and what truly matters is the reason behind your journey. When your purpose is strong, when you want to communicate, connect, and grow, no obstacle can stop you. Mistakes become lessons, struggles become strength, and persistence becomes your teacher. With each word spoken, you move closer to mastery. The key is not where you begin, but how long you keep going. Anyone who speaks English daily, learns from errors, and stays committed will find fluency not as a dream, but as a reality earned through purpose and perseverance. Fluency is not a destination. It's a continuous journey of growth. Many learners believe that one day they'll reach a point where they finish learning English, where every word flows perfectly and every sentence sounds flawless. But language doesn't work that way. Even native speakers keep learning new words, expressions, and ideas throughout their lives. True fluency isn't about reaching the end. It's about staying engaged with the process. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to explore. Each conversation opens new doors. Each mistake teaches a new lesson, and each success deepens your confidence. When you start to see learning English as a lifelong companion rather than a temporary goal, the pressure disappears. You begin to enjoy the process, the discovery, the challenge, the expression. Fluency then becomes not a finish line, but a lifestyle. It's the ongoing rhythm of learning, speaking, and growing. The moment you embrace this truth, you stop chasing perfection and start living fluently. Fluency thrives when passion meets patience. You can't rush language, just as you can't force a flower to bloom overnight. Passion gives you the energy to start. It's the spark that makes you curious, that pushes you to speak, read, and listen with excitement. But patience is what keeps that passion alive when progress feels slow. The two must walk together. Without passion, learning feels heavy. Without patience, you'll give up before the results appear. When you love the process, watching movies in English, having small conversations, reading stories, even talking to yourself, you stop counting the days and start enjoying the journey. Every learner who becomes fluent has moments of doubt, but they also have moments of quiet trust. Trust that every word spoken, every effort made will eventually bear fruit. Passion makes learning joyful. Patience makes it lasting. When they unite, your progress becomes unstoppable and fluency turns from a dream into a natural part of who you are. Fluency grows when you stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with who you were yesterday. It's easy to look at someone who speaks effortlessly and think, "I'll never reach that level." But comparison steals your confidence and blinds you to your own progress. Everyone's journey is different. Different starting points, different struggles, different strengths. The person you should measure yourself against is the one you were last week, last month, last year. If you speak a little more confidently today than you did yesterday, you are already succeeding. Each learner walks their own path, and fluency arrives at different times for everyone. What matters is growth, not speed. Comparing yourself to others creates pressure. Focusing on your own improvement creates peace. Celebrate small victories, finishing a book, holding a short conversation, understanding a movie without subtitles. Those moments are proof that you're moving forward. Remember, progress is personal. The only race worth running is the one where your past self becomes your greatest teacher and your present self keeps moving toward mastery.